So let's rewind to 2019. Skylar Kim, 22, pre-med student, perfect daughter of Chinese immigrants who owned 3 successful restaurants in Portland. You know the type. Straight A's, never missed curfew, the golden child who was supposed to marry a doctor and give her parents the American dream grandkids. And then there's Ethan Williams, also 22, but here's where things get interesting. Ethan was everything Skylar's parents' nightmares were made of. Community college dropout, worked construction, had this whole rugged bad boy thing going with the motorcycle and the tattoos. But Skylar, she was completely obsessed with him. They'd been together since high school, and I'm talking ride or die, matching tattoos, us against the world type of love. Skylar would sneak out to spend nights at his apartment, lie to her parents about study groups just to ride on the back of his bike. Her parents hated him, obviously, called him that boy like his name was poison. But then, boom, March 2019, Skylar staring at that pregnancy test. Now, here's where most people would think, okay, young couple, unplanned pregnancy, they'll figure it out. But you don't know Skylar's family. Her parents didn't just want her to succeed, they demanded it. And a baby with Ethan? That wasn't part of the plan. So Skylar does what any terrified 22-year-old would do. She tells Ethan first. Ethan's reaction? Pure joy. This guy literally starts crying happy tears, talking about how they're going to be a family, how he's going to work extra shifts to get them a bigger place. He's already picking out baby names and planning how to turn his spare room into a nursery. But Skylar? She's panicking because she knows what's coming next. She tells her parents on a Sunday night. Her mom is setting the table for dinner, her dad's reading the newspaper, and Skylar just blurts it out. I'm pregnant. The silence in that room could have choked someone. Her mother drops a plate. It shatters on the kitchen floor, and nobody moves to clean it up. Her father folds his newspaper, sets it down, and looks at Skylar like she just told him she'd burned down one of his restaurants. With that boy, he asks. Skylar nods. And then her mother starts crying. Not sad crying, angry, disappointed. You've ruined everything crying. Her father starts pacing around those broken plate pieces, and then he says the words that will haunt Skylar for the rest of her life. You will marry him immediately, or you will never see us again. No discussion. No, let's think about this together. Just an ultimatum. But then her mother adds the real kicker. And if you marry him, you quit school. No daughter of ours is going to be a doctor while married to that. So, Skylar's looking at her choices. Marry Ethan and give up her dreams, or lose her family forever. There's no option 3. There's no, let's all sit down and figure this out together. And guess what Skylar does? She chooses Ethan. Because she loves him, right? Because that's what you do when you're carrying someone's baby. But here's the thing nobody saw coming. Skylar didn't just choose Ethan, she chose to blame him for everything that was about to go wrong. So they planned this rushed wedding. May 2019, 2 months after finding out about the baby. It's supposed to be small, intimate, just close friends and family, except her parents refused to come. They're not kidding about that ultimatum. Ethan's family's there. His mom, his sister, some cousins. They're trying to make it special, you know? His mom even gives Skylar her grandmother's ring since they couldn't afford anything fancy. Sweet gesture, right? Wrong. Skylar's standing at the altar in this little chapel, wearing a dress that cost more than Ethan makes in a month, which she paid for herself with money from her college fund, and she's looking at Ethan like he's the reason her entire life is falling apart. The pastor asks if she takes Ethan to be her husband. She says, I do. But friends later said it sounded more like, I have to. And then, boom, the reception. This is where things get weird.
Skylar excuses herself to the bathroom, and Ethan's sister finds her 20 minutes later, sitting on the floor, still in her wedding dress, crying so hard she can barely breathe. But she's not crying sad tears. She's crying angry tears, furious tears. This is all his fault, she keeps saying. This is all his fault. Ethan's sister tries to calm her down, asks what she means, and Skylar looks at her, wedding makeup smeared, bouquet crushed in her lap, and says, he ruined my life. and I'm going to ruin his. Red flag number 1. So they move in together, right? Ethan gets them this little 2-bedroom apartment, nothing fancy, but it's clean and safe. He's working double shifts to pay for everything because Skylar quit her job at the campus bookstore. The plan is she'll rest during the pregnancy, then figure out life after the baby comes. But Skylar doesn't rest. Skylar schemes. First, she starts going through Ethan's phone. Every text, every call, every social media interaction, she's looking for evidence of something, anything she can use against him later. Then she starts isolating him from his friends. Suddenly, guys' night is abandoning your pregnant wife. Hanging out with his sister becomes choosing your family over ours. Even working late shifts, which they need for the money, becomes avoiding responsibility. Ethan doesn't see it happening because he's in love, right? He thinks Skylar is just hormonal, just scared about becoming a mom, so he starts saying no to his friends, skipping family dinners, coming straight home after work. And Skylar, she's documenting everything, writing down every argument, every time he raises his voice, every moment of frustration. She's building a case against her own husband. But here's the twisted part. She's also planning their future. She's got baby books, nursery ideas, family vacation plans. It's like she's living 2 different lives, the devoted wife and mother, and the woman plotting her husband's destruction. December 2019, their daughter, Emma, is born. Perfect, healthy, beautiful little girl. And for about 2 weeks, everything seems normal. Ethan is over the moon. Skylar seems happy. They're posting cute family photos on Instagram. But then the sleep deprivation hits. Emma's colicky, crying all night, and Skylar's recovering from a difficult delivery. Ethan is still working full-time because they need the income, so Skylar's alone with the baby most days. And that's when the really dark stuff starts. Skylar begins calling Ethan at work, sometimes 15, 20 times a day. She's crying, saying the baby won't stop screaming, saying she can't handle it. Ethan starts coming home during lunch breaks, leaving work early when he can. His supervisor pulls him aside after a month of this, tells him his performance is slipping, that he needs to get his home life under control or they'll have to let him go. So Ethan tries to hire a babysitter just for a few hours a day so Skylar can rest. You know what Skylar does? She tells him they can't afford it, that a good mother doesn't need help, that he's trying to replace her with a stranger. But then, and this is where it gets really twisted, Skylar starts telling people that Ethan is never home, that he's abandoning her with the baby, that she's essentially a single mother. She's creating this narrative where she's the victim and Ethan is the absent, uncaring father. Meanwhile, Ethan is working himself into exhaustion trying to provide for them and help with Emma whenever he's home. Spring 2020, COVID hits. Ethan's construction company shuts down temporarily, and suddenly he's home all day. You'd think Skylar would be happy, right? Finally, all the help she's been begging for. Nope. Now Ethan is in her space, undermining her routines, making everything harder. She starts picking fights about everything. The way he holds the baby, the way he makes coffee, the fact that he watches TV after Emma goes to sleep instead of cleaning the kitchen. Everything he does is wrong. And Ethan, he's trying so hard to fix things. He starts doing all the housework, takes over night feedings so Skylar can sleep, even tries to plan little date nights at home. But Skylar's not interested in fixing anything. She's interested in breaking him. And then one night, in April, Emma's crying and Ethan gets up to check on her. He finds Skylar standing over the crib, not picking up the baby, just staring. Emma's been crying for who knows how long, and Skylar's just standing there.
Ethan asks if everything's okay, and Skylar turns to him with this look he's never seen before. Cold, empty. Sometimes I think about what my life would be like if she just stopped crying. Forever. Ethan freezes, because that's not tired mom talk. That's something else entirely. He picks up Emma, calms her down, and puts her back to sleep. And when he turns around, Skylar's gone. He finds her in the living room, acting like nothing happened. But Ethan can't shake that moment, that look in her eyes. So he starts paying closer attention. Summer 2020, things get worse. Skylar's mood swings are extreme now. One day she's the perfect wife and mother, baking cookies and playing with Emma. The next day she's screaming at Ethan for breathing too loudly. But it's not random. Ethan starts to realize there's a pattern. Skylar's good days happen when other people are around. When his sister visits, when they video call with his mom, when neighbors stop by. It's like she's performing. The bad days happen when it's just the three of them. And then Skylar starts talking to Ethan to other people. She joins this online mom group, and she's constantly posting about how hard single motherhood is, how her husband is emotionally absent, how she's doing everything alone. Ethan finds out because his sister sees the posts. Skylar's painting him as this deadbeat dad who works all day and ignores his family. Meanwhile, Ethan is changing diapers, doing midnight feedings, and trying to keep Skylar from having complete meltdowns. So Ethan tries to talk to her about it. Big mistake. Skylar explodes. She's screaming about how he's trying to control her, how he's isolating her from her support system, how he's gaslighting her. She throws a coffee mug at the wall, and Emma starts crying in the next room. He goes to comfort the baby, and when he comes back, Skylar's on the phone with someone. He hears her saying, "He just attacked me. I'm scared. I don't know what he's capable of." She's talking to her friend Jessica, who lives across town, and she's lying, completely, boldly lying about what just happened. That's when Ethan realizes the truth. Skylar isn't having a breakdown. She's planning something. August 2020, Skylar starts suggesting that Ethan needs anger management. She brings it up casually at first. Maybe talking to someone would help with your stress. Then more directly, "I'm worried about your temper around Emma." Ethan is confused because he's never raised his voice around the baby, never lost his temper in a way that would scare anyone, but Skylar's persistent. She starts documenting his outbursts, which are really just normal human reactions to stress. He sighs when he's tired. That's aggressive behavior. He asks her to lower her voice when Emma is sleeping. That's controlling and intimidating. And then Skylar does something brilliant and terrifying. She starts provoking him. She'll do something that she knows will frustrate him, like leaving Emma's dirty diapers on the kitchen counter or forgetting to buy groceries when it's her turn. And then when Ethan reacts with even mild annoyance, she acts like he's screaming at her. "Don't yell at me," she'll say in this tiny scared voice, even when Ethan is speaking normally. "You're scaring Emma." And if his sister or mom calls during one of these moments, Skylar makes sure they can hear her side of the fight. She's creating witnesses to Ethan's abuse that isn't actually happening. But here's the thing. Ethan loves her. Even with all this crazy behavior, he thinks Skylar is struggling with postpartum depression. He suggests therapy, offers to go with her, even looks into couples counseling. Skylar agrees to individual therapy, and that's when she makes her master move. Skylar starts seeing Dr. Rachel Morrison, a family therapist who specializes in postpartum mental health. And Skylar is smart about this. She doesn't lie outright in therapy. That would be too obvious. Instead, she tells selective truths. She talks about feeling isolated and overwhelmed. She mentions Ethan's mood swings and how she's walking on eggshells at home. She describes feeling trapped in her marriage and scared for her safety. All of this is technically true from Skylar's perspective. She does feel trapped because she chose to trap herself. She is walking on eggshells because she's the one throwing them.
But Dr. Morrison doesn't know the context. And here's where Skylar gets really clever. She asks Dr. Morrison about her legal options. What would happen if she needed to leave Ethan? How would custody work? What kind of evidence would she need to prove he's unfit as a father? Dr. Morrison, thinking she's helping a woman in an abusive situation, gives Skylar exactly the roadmap she needs. Document everything. Keep a journal of incidents. Record conversations if possible. Build a pattern of escalating behavior. Get witnesses. Skylar takes notes. September 2020. Skylar puts her plan into action. She starts the journal Dr. Morrison suggested, but she's creative with the truth. Every normal marital disagreement becomes, "Ethan screamed at me." Every time he's tired from work becomes, "Ethan was aggressive and intimidating." Every moment of frustration becomes evidence of his dangerous temper.
She starts recording their conversations on her phone. But here's the twisted part. She only starts recording after she's already provoked him into reacting. So the recordings make Ethan sound angry and unreasonable, but they don't capture what Skylar did to cause it. Then she reaches out to Ethan's friends and family, but not directly. She starts having concerned conversations with his sister about Ethan's stress levels. She mentions to his mom how worried she is about his mental health. She plants seeds of doubt about his stability. And the whole time, she's posting in that online mom group about her fears for Emma's safety, about feeling like she's in danger, about not knowing where to turn for help. She's building a narrative from multiple angles. Ethan is unstable, possibly dangerous, definitely unfit to be around their daughter. And she's got evidence to back it all up. But Skylar makes one crucial mistake. She gets greedy. October 2020, Skylar decides she needs more dramatic evidence. The recordings and journal entries are good, but she needs something that will guarantee she gets full custody of Emma, and maybe even a restraining order against Ethan. So she stages a domestic violence incident. She waits until Ethan is having a particularly stressful day at work. His company is doing layoffs and he's worried about keeping his job. He comes home exhausted and frustrated, and Skylar immediately starts an argument about money. She's pushing every button she knows will set him off, getting more and more aggressive with her accusations. Finally, Ethan snaps and raises his voice. Not screaming, just talking louder than usual. And that's when Skylar makes her move. She pushes herself against the kitchen counter, hard enough to leave a bruise on her hip. Then she knocks over a chair, making noise that will bring the neighbors running. She starts crying and yelling for help. "Please don't hurt me. Think about Emma." Ethan is standing there completely bewildered when their downstairs neighbor pounds on the door asking if everything's okay. Skylar answers the door with tears streaming down her face, clutching her side where she bruised herself. She tells the neighbor that Ethan pushed her and she's scared for her safety. The neighbor calls the police. When the cops arrive, they see exactly what Skylar wants them to see. A crying woman with a visible bruise claiming her husband attacked her. Ethan trying to explain what really happened, getting more frustrated and defensive with every question. Skylar's got her journal documenting months of abuse. She's got recordings of Ethan sounding angry. She's got a witness who heard her screaming for help. Ethan has nothing, just his word against hers. They arrest him. Skylar gets a temporary restraining order that night. He can't come home, can't see Emma, can't even call the house. His entire life is turned upside down in the matter of hours. He stays with his sister, trying to figure out what just happened. His family is confused, his friends are shocked. Everyone's asking the same question. How did they miss the signs that Ethan was abusive? But his sister, Jessica, Ethan's sister, not Skylar's friend, Jessica knows something isn't right. She's been around Ethan and Skylar for years, and she's never seen him be violent or even particularly aggressive. So she starts digging. And that's when she discovers Skylar's online posts. Jessica finds Skylar's mom group posts going back months. Posts about being a single mother when Ethan was working to support them. Posts about feeling unsafe that were written right after family dinners where Skylar seemed perfectly happy. But the smoking gun is a post from the day before Ethan's arrest. Skylar wrote, "I think tomorrow might be the day I finally get the evidence I need. Pray for me." Evidence she needs, not "pray for my safety" or "I'm scared." She needed evidence. Jessica screenshots everything and takes it to Ethan's lawyer. But they need more than social media posts to prove Skylar's lying. So Jessica does something risky. She calls Skylar, pretending to be concerned about her well-being after the attack. She records the conversation. And Skylar, thinking she's talking to a sympathetic ear, says too much. "I had to do something drastic, you know? The therapy and documentation wasn't going to be enough. I needed something that would guarantee Emma stays with me. Had to do something. Not Ethan attacked me. She had to do something." Jessica keeps pushing and Skylar keeps talking. She's proud of herself, almost bragging about how well she planned everything. "He never saw it coming. Men are so stupid when they think you love them." But then Skylar says something that changes everything. The best part is, even if he somehow proves I'm lying about this incident, I've got months of evidence showing he's unfit. And if that doesn't work, well, let's just say accidents happen to men who won't give up custody of their children. Jessica realizes Skylar isn't just trying to frame Ethan for domestic violence. She's planning to hurt him, maybe even kill him.
So Jessica goes to the police with the recording. But here's the problem. Skylar didn't explicitly threaten Ethan's life, and the recording was made without Skylar's consent, which might make it inadmissible in court. The detective handling Ethan's case is intrigued but needs more evidence. So they come up with a plan. They're going to give Skylar exactly what she wants, the opportunity to escalate. They convince a judge to modify the restraining order slightly, allowing Ethan's supervised visitation with Emma. Skylar is furious, but she can't object too strongly without looking suspicious. The first visitation is scheduled for November 15th, 2020, at a family services center. Ethan gets to see his daughter for 2 hours with a social worker present. But the police are betting Skylar won't let it end there. If she's planning to hurt Ethan, this visitation will trigger her to act. They're right. 3 days before the scheduled visitation, Skylar reaches out to Jessica again. She's struggling with the idea of Ethan being around Emma, worried about what he might do, but then she mentions something interesting. She's been having coffee with Tom Bradley, Ethan's former coworker from the construction company. Now, Ethan barely knew Tom. They worked different shifts, maybe exchanged a few words about weekend plans. But Skylar's been telling Tom a very different story about their relationship. She's convinced Tom that Ethan stole money from the company before he was laid off. She's told him that Ethan bragged about abusing her, that he threatened to hurt Emma if Skylar ever left him. She's painted Ethan as this dangerous criminal who's getting away with everything because the system protects men. And Tom's got a criminal record. Assault charges from bar fights, anger management issues, the whole thing. He's exactly the kind of person who might take justice into his own hands. Skylar's plan is brilliant and terrifying. Get Tom worked up enough to confront Ethan, then sit back and let nature take its course. If Tom hurts or kills Ethan, Skylar gets everything she wants. If Ethan defends himself and hurts Tom, she's got proof that Ethan is violent. Either way, Ethan loses. November 12th, 2020. Ethan is leaving his sister's house to go grocery shopping when Tom Bradley shows up in the driveway.
Ethan doesn't recognize him at first, but Tom knows exactly who Ethan is. "You're Ethan Williams, right? Skylar's husband?" Ethan nods, confused. "I hear you like hitting women and threatening babies." And before Ethan can react, Tom swings a baseball bat at his head. Ethan ducks, and the bat smashes the windshield of Jessica's car. Tom swings again, and Ethan grabs a piece of broken glass from the windshield to defend himself. What happens next is chaos. Tom's bigger and has a weapon, but Ethan is faster and more desperate. They're fighting in the middle of a suburban driveway at 2 p.m. on a Thursday, and neighbors are calling 911. Jessica comes running out of the house and sees Ethan holding a piece of glass with blood on it, Tom on the ground, not moving, and her brother standing there looking like he's about to pass out. Tom Bradley is dead. So now Ethan is arrested for murder, not domestic violence, not violating a restraining order, murder. Skylar's reaction? She posts on social media about how she always knew would come to this, how she's not surprised Ethan finally killed someone, how she's just grateful Emma is safe. But the police investigation into Tom's death uncovers something Skylar didn't expect. Tom's phone records. Turns out, Skylar had been texting with Tom for weeks, not just casual conversation, detailed descriptions of Ethan's crimes, stories about the abuse, even Ethan's daily schedule so Tom would know where to find him. She literally recruited a man with a history of violence to kill her husband, then acted shocked when it worked. But Skylar's got one more card to play. When confronted with the text messages, Skylar doesn't deny them. Instead, she claims she was so terrified of Ethan that she was desperate for protection. She says she never meant for Tom to hurt anyone, and she was just seeking support from a friend who understood what Ethan was capable of. It's actually a decent defense. Battered woman seeking help, tragic misunderstanding, never intended for violence. But then, investigators make a discovery that changes everything. They find Skylar's real journal, not the fake one she showed her therapist, but a private journal she kept on her laptop, thinking it was safe from prying eyes. And this journal, it's a step-by-step guide to destroying Ethan's life.
Entry from March 2019, right after she found out she was pregnant. If I have to marry him, I'm going to make him pay for ruining my future. Entry from June 2019, after the wedding. He actually thinks I love him. This is going to be easier than I thought. Entry from December 2019, after Emma was born. The baby is perfect leverage. No court will take a child away from her mother, especially if the father is unstable. And the final entry from November 10th, 2020. 2 more days until Tom handles the Ethan problem permanently, then Emma and I can finally start our real life. She planned the whole thing. Every fight, every recording, every incident, all of it was designed to either drive Ethan away or get him killed. Skylar was arrested on December 3rd, 2020, and charged with conspiracy to commit murder, filing false police reports, perjury, and child endangerment. During her trial, the prosecutor laid out the entire timeline, how Skylar manipulated everyone around her to build a case against an innocent man, how she recruited Tom Bradley to commit murder by feeding him lies about Ethan's behavior, how she was willing to let her own daughter grow up without a father just to avoid taking responsibility for her choices. Ethan was cleared of all charges related to Tom's death. The court ruled it was clear self-defense. But here's the tragic part. The damage was already done. Ethan lost his job because of the domestic violence charges. His reputation in the community was destroyed. His relationship with some family members never recovered because they believed Skylar's lies for months. And Emma lost both parents. Ethan got full custody, but he's a single father dealing with trauma and financial ruin. Skylar was sentenced to 25 years in prison. The craziest part of this whole story, Skylar still maintains that she was the victim. In her prison interviews, she talks about how Ethan drove her to desperation, how the system failed to protect her, how she was just trying to keep her daughter safe. She's convinced herself that her own lies are the truth. Ethan rarely talks to the media, but in one interview, he said something that stuck with me. He said, "I loved her completely, and she used that love as a weapon against me. The scariest part isn't that she tried to have me killed, it's that she was willing to let our daughter grow up thinking her father was a monster." Emma is 4 years old now. She's living with Ethan and his sister, and by all accounts, she's a happy, healthy kid who doesn't remember the chaos of her first year of life. But here's what keeps me up at night about this case. How many Skylars are out there right now planning their next move? How many people are sitting in prison because someone they loved decided to destroy them? And how many people are going to watch this video and think, wait, that sounds like someone I know? So the next time someone tells you that marriage will fix everything, remember Skylar and Ethan. Remember that sometimes the person who promises to love you forever is actually planning your destruction. And remember that the most dangerous person in your life might be the one sharing your bed. Because love isn't always enough. Sometimes love is just the perfect cover for something much darker. If this story messed with your head as much as it messed with mine, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments, what's the craziest manipulation you've ever witnessed? And stay tuned next week because I've got another story that'll make you question everything you think you know about trust. Until then, stay safe out there. You never know who's keeping a journal about you.